It's for the children of Cleveland, all the children. And I've heard the mayor and I've heard his representatives say that he is here for all the children. And I love that. You keep saying that. That's a great thing to say. So together, public, private, Catholic, charter, we can do it. Now, what's our finish line? I suggest it should be aggressive and visionary. Let's go one up on Mr. Gates. Cleveland will ensure that 80% of our students graduate from high school fully ready to attend college by 2020. Has a nice ring to it, 2020. Can we do that as a city? I think we can. Together, public, private, Catholic, charter, if we focus on educating the public. However it happens, however successful it can be, we can do it. And I got to tell you something, we do that, we'll all be on the cover of Time magazine. It'll be the story of the century. Cleveland can do that. Cleveland can be a leader in this. There's already a sort of a movement amongst charter schools and public schools and private schools. They're actually talking to each other, letting each other into each other's door. That's good. We have to continue that. So I appreciate the time you've given me here today, and I'm so excited to be able to tell you this story of our school, St. Martin de Porres High School, and to say that there is hope for the future if we are for the children of Cleveland. Together, we can do this. Thank you very much.
Today at the City Club of Cleveland, we're listening to Richard Clark, president of St. Martin de Porres High School, a member of the Cristo Rey network of schools. We'll return to Richard in just a minute for our traditional City Club question and answer period, and we encourage you now to formulate your questions. Please try and keep those brief and to the point. We welcome all of you here and those listening to WCPN 90.3 FM, WCLV, WTAM, or one of the many, many radio stations that broadcast us across this great country. Radio broadcasts of the City Club are made possible through the generous support of Case Western Reserve University. Our television broadcast partners are WVIZ, PBS IdeaStream, and Time Warner Cable. Our television broadcasts are supported by National City, which is now a part of PNC, and Cleveland State University. And closed captioning is supported by Nordson Corporation. Lastly, our live webcasts are supported by the University of Akron. Today's forum is the annual Bernice Kerrigan Smith Forum on Education. Mrs. Smith's teaching career started in Licking County in Ohio. She came to the Cleveland Public Schools to teach during and after World War II. With us today at the head table are Mary and Mamie Smith, Bernice Kerrigan's daughter-in-law and granddaughter who help in caring for Mrs. Kerrigan. Would you please both stand and be recognized for your kind support? Okay, now we'd like to return to our speaker for our traditional City Club Q&A period. We welcome questions from everyone, including guests. Holding the microphones today are City Club Assistant Director of Development, Marcella Brown, there she is, and Director of Development, Jessica Leary-Allen. So, Richard, would you come back for the first question?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for a very inspiring speech. So sitting here and listening to you, we all want to walk out the door and do something. But of course we won't really. So how can we? What can we do to make happen what you're talking about?
Well, what can you do, huh? Well, you certainly, if you have any connection, seriously, for our school, personally, for a job, I mean, that we're really always looking for companies that will hire our kids. It's a $25,000 a year wage that we're looking for. That's one thing. And certainly we'll take large gifts as well. But beyond that, I think it's important that we kind of put away maybe our own personal I don't know if I like public schools, or I don't know if I like we have to say, no, I like children. So how can we engender conversations, wherever it is? It might be just around the dinner table. It may be in organizations you're a part of, maybe at your own school systems. We need to open this up. There are a lot of people who care about kids, and we should be talking to each other. That's one way. Thank you.
Mr. Clark, you mentioned that 46% of high school graduates entering college have to take remedial English or math. I presume at St. Martin de Porres, you're dealing with the same problem, except you're dealing with it in the 9th grade rather than in first year of college. A practical question, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with the deficits in reading, writing, and comprehension that you can bring these children up to speed so that you're achieving the 100% success rate that you have mentioned?
Well, I think fundamentally it's the way we teach in our curriculum and the people involved there and how we do it. We use some pretty basic stuff in first year to teach reading. It's actually a program from Scholastic Incorporated called Read 180, which we use and are very content with. Does very well. I like to say reading is the gateway drug to all other learning, and so we really focus on the reading. Our biggest issue probably over the period of time is mathematics. That's a tough one. That's a tough one for the country. It's a tough one for us. And when I say our kids are accepted in college and go to college, some of them do take remedial courses. So we get them up to some point, but we need to do more. That's why I think it's important as you look at some of the innovative elementary and middle schools in the city of Cleveland has and charter schools, we have to focus on that as well, so that they don't come with as much of a deficit. But I think our method and our curriculum goes a long way.
Yes, you mentioned a number of people. You left one out that I'm sort of surprised. That's Booker T. Washington. He did over 100 years ago what you are attempting to do right now. Pretty well can be documented. Why did you leave him out? What do you think of him as an individual?
I love Booker T. Washington. No, I didn't. I mean, there's a lot of people I left out. There's a lot of people that have been part of this whole educational dialogue in the United States, and certainly he is one who lived his whole life in a college little dorm room. I mean, he could have done anything. He could have been a very wealthy man, and he stayed to educate and he stayed to help the farmers. And he's a wonderful example. We certainly teach about him in our school, but I didn't leave him out intentionally at all.
Hi, Rich. Great speech, and you're a really inspirational story for all of us. What do you see the role of suburban school districts in bringing Cleveland up to the 80% level that you're talking about? Is there a way to harness the higher success level? I mean, what's happened, obviously, is a lot of students, a lot of families have moved to the suburbs in search of an education that wasn't available publicly in the city of Cleveland. How do we get all of us back together?
Okay, that'll be next month's talk. Certainly regionalism is a way to look at it. But again, the whole way schools are funded, and my community is ranked high because we have good schools, and therefore my real estate, and that's a tough nut to crack, really. I also think that I think in a lot of ways what's going on in the cities is a precursor to what's going to go on into the suburbs. And I don't mean economically, I mean educationally. I think more and more the educational model, remember, Bill Gates didn't say the urban American secondary schools are obsolete. He said secondary schools are obsolete. The way they're operated, it's going to be worse and worse in the suburbs. I think dialogue, I say that again as a way of doing it, somehow the funding has to change, and sharing, that someone from a suburb might come into the city and learn something. I did, so it can happen.